Welcome to.
Bean stuff.
Now, today we are talking about the history of coffee. Big topics today.
It is a big topic. I always get a bit scared when I talk about history because there's a lot of dates out there, and I remember when I was really young that I'd forget a lot of those dates, and now I'm a little older. I'm still forgetting a lot of those dates.
Well, in full disclosure, we have a laptop in front of us.
All right,
We've
yes.
got, you've got a lot of notes in front of you. But we're not cheating. I mean,
No,
it's
no.
just so we get you the right facts.
Trying to get the accuracy going.
Yeah, so we print off what we already know.
Yeah.
Well, what you already know.
Well, I
don't.
I've talked about history of coffee many times, different seminars, different places, but I still got to have notes in front of me. Otherwise, I could just say something that's just totally wrong.
Well, and I remember not too long ago, this morning, when I told you we should record this podcast, the history of coffee, we were both kind of like, what? There's like, I remember just lots of stuff flooding in.
I did a class at Caravan for education in January, and I've got this flash on overheads, and but I've forgotten a lot of it already. It's amazing.
It's crazy how fast it goes in one ear and one. I can't even speak today. In one ear and out the other.
It's
and
all right. It's
I got to take more of that coffee. You know, it's funny. We had that episode of decaf coffee, and what are we drinking today?
We're drinking decaf coffee.
Oh yeah. So we're drinking decaf Honduras today, which is really good. And we've got a lot of material. We don't want to make this last forever.
Yep.
So we're going to jump right in. And so we're going to start with just the history of coffee, kind of try and stick to topic as much as we can.
Yeah.
And see where that takes us.
Yeah.
So to start it off, well, I guess here's a question. I think I know the answer, but maybe other people don't. Dad, when was day number 1 for coffee? What is the exact scientifically proven number 1 origin of coffee?
Well, probably the creation, but
Okay. Documented.
No, documented. Yeah, there is a lot of myths out there, Reed. Of my research, I can't. There's more than 4, but there's 4 ones that I've heard in and out, and they all sort of intermingle with each other. But there's one main one out there that gets put out a lot, but there's probably 4 if you started digging down.
And what are the 4? I remember one, and I could be completely wrong. This might not be in the 4, but one has to do with goats.
Very good.
Is that can I start that one and then you correct me if I go wrong?
His name's Caldi, by the way.
Caldi,
the goat herder.
Caldi, the goat herder.
That's him.
From my recollection, which is from your knowledge, is a gentleman who was in. Where was he from?
He was in Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, that's right. Right between the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer.
That's quite a large swath of land and sea.
But Caldi was herding his goats one day, and he noticed that his goats started jumping and acting kind of crazy. And he wondered what had gotten into his goats. And he realized that they had been eating a coffee cherry, or coffee cherries, from the trees that were around him.
Yeah.
That's where my story stops. That's all I remember.
Oh, well, no, that is, I mean, there's different versions of it too, but, and there's no true, I mean, it's probably apocryphal of anything. I mean,
what was that word? Apocryphal?
Apocryphal.
Wow.
It's writings, ancient writings.
Oh, man, I'm learning stuff today.
It's all right. And it didn't, I don't think even the story appeared, I looked down here, 1671, 800 years after it was supposed to have even happened. So who knows what went on. But you're right. He saw them really excited and he thought, what are they doing? They're eating this. So he had some himself and found he was suddenly enlivened and excited as well. And voila, he discovered the coffee cherry. And there's more to it. He takes it to different folk and monasteries close by, and they enjoy it very much. Keeps them awake all night for prayers.
So were they eating I guess maybe we don't know, but were they eating the whole fruit, or how did they accidentally drop it into
there's stories
fire,
about that
roast
too.
it, and then grind it on accident, drop it in more hot water?
I mean, I would say typically apples, whatever you're eating, fruit off a tree, you're typically just going to sort of eat into it. And with coffee, because you eat into it, it's got a small bit of fruit in it, not a lot.
Kind of tastes like water.
Yeah, it's pretty mild, really.
It's a very mild flavor.
And But to get to the seed, which is inside, it's not the fruit, it's the two seeds inside the cherry. There's goodness knows how that really happened. They had to boil it at some stage.
It's just incredible how many things had to fall into place.
Yeah,
for us to get a cup of coffee that I'm drinking right now.
that's right.
Like,
I mean, you got to have fire. Somebody had to discover fire, of course.
I guess when you go back far enough.
That's right. Boil water. Put the coffee in the seeds.
They had to have something to boil the water in.
Did they dry the seeds? Because now there's a whole process now of taking it from the tree to the through the dry and wet mills and to the coffee, to the roastery, and then to us.
Wow. So we've got Khalid.
Cully, yes.
Kaldi.
Kaldi. Yes.
And so we've heard a little bit about him. Unless there's anything interesting, what's the next one?
There's other parts to it, but I know
other parts.
Oh well, what he did after, and people came to see, and they were really impressed by the stuff as well. And there's another guy called Omar. Now that's the second most known one, I think. Omar. He actually has a much longer name than that. Do you want me to give you the name?
Give us the full-on name.
And I admit I'm going to pronounce this totally wrong with my Kiwi American accent or English, whatever that may be. Sheikh Abu Hassan Shaldi's disciple Omar. I just realised that was the disciple was Omar, but he had a Sheikh as well.
So the disciple is Omar is a disciple of somebody?
Omar, of that guy name I just said. Don't worry about that.
Omar doesn't have a long name. Just his.
He probably does. We just don't know it. Okay.
He just goes by Omar.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So Mr. Omar.
Yeah, he cures the sick through prayer, and again, there's variations of this. But he gets exiled to a cave from Mocha, and he's starving, and he just, to survive, he chews some nearby berries near a shrubbery, but found them really bitter. Guess what? It's coffee. He tried roasting it to improve his flavour, but it's just so hard. And so he boils it to soften the beans up. Gets this brown liquid that we know and we're drinking today, coffee. And after he had some of this, he realised, I'm not feeling so bad. Here I am deserted in this cave, feeling I'm left to die, but I feel quite revived. What's going on? Something to do with this brown liquid that he's drinking.
And was there a year on that?
Oh, I know it's put a year on
Old?
it. Old. Oh, yeah, exactly.
And is there a year on the goat farmer, Kaldi?
Well, it appeared in writing, it says 1671, but that was, they say, 800 years after the fact. So it's probably some similar sort of time, I would think.
Okay.
But, so this becomes a miracle drug because locals around by start coming to the cave and say, what do you help me as a doctor? Give me some medicine. He gives them some of this miracle drug, as he's calling it now. And they feel like, wow, this stuff.
Because nobody knows what caffeine is. Nobody knows the effect it's going to have.
The interesting thing, the history of that, is he gets asked to come back, and he's made a saint. Here you go.
Come back to what?
Come back to the Mocha, where he left from, he got exiled from.
Oh, and now he becomes Saint Omar.
Yeah.
Wow. Coffee was one of his miracles.
I guess. There is a coffee saint. I don't think it's Saint Omar, though. I have to look at that sometime.
I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen a picture of it.
Yeah.
Saint Drogal?
Ooh, it sounds good, but we don't know.
The patron saint of coffee. Anyway, he exists.
Look it up.
What's the third one?
Oh, I like the third one. It's got another. I love all these big names. He's a Sufi mystic. Again, we're talking about Ethiopia. We're talking about Yemen, all around those areas, but mainly Ethiopia. Gothel Akbar Nuruddin Abu Al Hassan Al Sharhili.
A lot in school.
Mate, can you imagine Mum saying, "Hey, Gobu Ashur"? Oh, yeah, anyway, whatever.
No, he wouldn't. No.
He did a very similar story, but you don't get to hear about it. But his involved birds that were just really excited, and he checks out what they're eating, and he eats the same stuff, and he feels the same. So a third story. We don't know.
Consistently feeling revived, feeling excited, feeling
alive. That's the common theme coming through here. Yes.
I see. So, and then number 4. So you're going for a sip of your coffee there. So.
Okay, I was going to
go for a sip. Wet the palate. But so we kind of start seeing this theme of people discovering it because animals are going kind of crazy or out of desperation. So number 4.
And this is sort of related again, Ethiopian tribes from the Oromo tribes or in fact the Gala tribes they call them, that's the name of the tribe, they packed up this coffee seed with particularly the fruit part of it with fat and spices, the first energy bar around.
Before the Cliff Bar.
Exactly.
It was the Gala bar.
Yep, correct.
The Gala tribe bar.
They knew it would sustain them for journeys they were going off out to. So,
Wow.
and there's writings about that happening as well. So it's been known for some time.
So I noticed an overwhelming amount of these, and by overwhelming I think 3 of them,
Yes.
are all from Ethiopia.
Yes.
Is that correct? The other one was from Yemen.
Well, yes, or it's mainly Ethiopia, but then it's Yemen's so close, just across the Red Sea. So there's a lot of movement, a lot of trade going between, and unfortunately a lot of slavery going between the two as well. And that gets taken over to Yemen.
So is there kind of a general consensus, well, 2 questions. Is there a general consensus that coffee originated in Ethiopia-ish?
Ish. It is. Some would say Hara region. Others, they find diversity of the genetics is more in Western Ethiopia, which is closer to Kenya. There's, it's not directly known. It's not fully known.
Gotcha. Okay, well, so it's so it is Africa. It's
Yep.
Europe, or not Europe.
Europe, no.
Africa, and I'm thinking Ethiopia. They both start with an E. But Ethiopian area.
Yep.
So, tell me about kind of the next iteration of what we know of as coffee progressing in history.
Right, and these are going to be some generalizations going here, but as I said, Yemen, which is a close neighbor with water in between to Ethiopia, a lot of trade going, and I think particularly the slavery going across, and they would take the berries with them and make their concoctions, have the energy bar, whatever they were doing from the Gala tribe, and they would go into Yemen, and the Yemenese tribes, their Muslims there, suddenly realized, what's this stuff they're drinking? What are they having? Could we have it too? They tried and found it had really good properties to keeping them awake.
Wow. So it's kind of, it seems like the coffee is selling itself in a sense. People are trying it. People are experiencing this feeling of, what we now know is, feeling awake because of caffeine. And they're starting to really, it's catching on due to that fact. It seems like.
Yeah. Even the name, I think it got first translated in English back in 1582 or something, and then it's come from Turkish name, and then it's been borrowed again in Arabic, Qawa, I think it's called, which means prevents sleep, I believe. So
the origin of coffee, the name,
yes, even the name
prevent sleep,
possibly, yes, yeah,
possibly
derivatives, yeah.
Don't quote us.
No.
So we've got this origin story from Ethiopia, we'll say, for the sake of just simplicity's sake.
Yeah.
So Ethiopia, we've got a couple different iterations of where that may have come from, what it might have been. And then it kind of progresses through slavery, through migration, through people moving, and kind of people are bringing that with them in different forms, shapes, and sizes.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about 1475.
1475. I know what you're talking about. Before 1475, I might just go back a little bit because coffee gets to Yemen, as I was saying, and monasteries particularly using it, finding it very helpful in their nightly prayers sessions, keeping them awake.
The monastery?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And from there it starts going different places, but Cairo, Damascus, Baghdad, Constantinople, it's a hard one to say.
It is a hard one.
And the interesting thing, though, with all those cities, and so we were getting to Constantinople, I mentioned that because it's got coffee shops start opening up in 1475 that you're alluding to.
Wow.
But there's a lot of, I call it in and out, or in, out, and in.
Kind of like in and out as far as like styles?
In and out. It's almost like styles, and there's this constant, it gets brought in and it's there, people really enjoy it, and then someone says, no, it's out, we can't have this. And then they taste it and they go, let's change the laws and let's put this in again. And
so can we have, what's an example of maybe one of those transitions?
There's a lot of them. I mean, it's all those places I just mentioned, but it was banned in Mecca originally. This is back in 1511. And there's some names here I'm going to get wrong again, but the governor at the time was Kia Beg, and he was the governor of Mecca. And he suddenly started saying, "Oh, this stuff, because they're drinking it, they seem to get enlivened, and they start talking about stuff. They start talking about me. Are they saying good things about me? I'm going to ban this substance because I don't want any bad talk going on about me." And and then sometimes there's a religious part to say, no, we can't have this. This is evil. This is satanic, they would say even. Then only like, I don't know, 10, 13 years later, it gets overturned by another sultan, Sultan Suleiman the First, political thing, and he issues a law that he gets his religious folk to write up and says, actually, we're going to allow this to happen because I've tasted the stuff and man, it's good.
Wow.
In fact, he gets so excited about it, he actually starts having a special chief coffee maker in the palace, and people come over to just enjoy the palace and the coffee. And two abilities you've got to have. One is to be loyal, and the ability to keep secrets. That was if you're going to be a chief coffee maker.
So the first barista job.
Yep.
For a sultan.
Yep.
Had to be loyal.
Yep.
And a secret keeper.
Yep. Things haven't changed.
So 1524 is when your baristas came into the scene.
That's right.
That's pretty crazy.
It's true. Yeah.
Baristas established 1524.
Yeah. There you go. It may have happened even before then. Who knows?
Okay, so we've got... I mean, it really sounds to me like coffee could have been snuffed out almost at a lot of different places in history where it, went out and in, and the right person not being a public figure and bringing coffee back into the scene could have meant the extinction of coffee as we know it.
Yeah. And that happened in Cairo. It happened in Ethiopia. Happened as well. Different emperors come in and they drink it and find, man, this is good stuff, and then they make it all right to drink.
Wow. So we've got people bringing it in and out. What's kind of the next step? Like, does it move? When does it start getting to Europe? Like, we're still in kind of...
Oh, wow, yeah. Yemen, it gets a little diverse here of where it goes and how it comes out. And basically, the Arabs, they want to keep a monopoly on this. And they want to... So what they start doing is they boil the seeds. If they do give them as gifts to something, they boil them before they go out, so they're not fertile. They can't grow the plant, a coffee plant. They're very protective of it. But with all protections, things don't always go well. And
so they're boiling the plant before it gets out of the country, so that nobody could grow the plant.
Exactly. Yeah, okay, they want to keep the plant. They know it's a good. Economy is going to be good by having this plant around because people are going to want it. It's valuable commodity.
Gotcha. So they're boiling the plant. It's not getting out.
Of course, with any great plan like that and any control like that, there's always someone that comes along and says, "Aha, I think I can get around this." And there's a guy called I think his name's Baba Budun. I emphasize that like I know how to say that. He's an Asian Indian. And he decides he's going to take one of these seeds. He liked the drink.
Right.
I'm going to take it back with me to India.
Wow.
And he whatever, he puts it on his stomach and puts his clothes over that, and voila, he takes it back, and the coffee seed starts growing now in India.
Wow. So it really seems like a drink of the people. People are the ones who are kind of pushing it.
Very much so. Yep.
And so it gets to India. Is that kind of where we kind of see that progressing next? As far as it comes from, Africa, people start liking it. They don't want it to get out. Then it goes to kind of like the Middle East. It sounds like a little bit.
Yeah, Middle East. Yeah.
It starts kind of spreading from there.
Again, this is an oversimplification, but you get folk from around the world trading with these folk and enjoying the drink, and they want this drink somehow to come to their place in the world, and particularly in Europe, want that to happen. Now you've got places like the Netherlands, you've got France,
right.
You've got some big players who really want this drink. Brazil comes in on the picture as well a little later on, now the biggest producer of coffee, but they had to get it from somewhere. It wasn't originated in Brazil.
Wow. That's great. So coffee, wow. It's crazy to think, like you said, like Brazil being one of the largest manufacturers of coffee today, or growers, and yet they were not really on the scene to begin with. It's, Ethiopia, Yemen, places like that now are not as big as Brazil even.
Exactly, yeah, and the coffee, how it's worked around the world, it's come and gone, and big players, little players. It's really a changer. It's changed whole cultures actually.
So let me throw this out here for you.
Okay.
Let's just see what pops into your mind. Because I think it's something special.
Yes.
Peter Van
Yes.
Brocken.
Oh, you mean Peter Van Dan Brocken?
Well, yeah.
Someone knew him as Dan as well.
Some of us just call him Dan. But tell us about Peter.
Well, he was a Dutchman.
Dutch. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Good old Dan.
Good, and we're talking 1616. This guy was around, and he was working for the Dutch East Indian Company at the time. He visited Mocha.
Now, for those of us that don't know, Mocha is not just a drink; it's also a country.
Yeah, it's very much a country.
Right above Australia
it's
and Indonesia.
Major port in Yemen,
which is where?
Just opposite Ethiopia.
Oh,
so we're still in the Middle East.
So we're still in the Middle East.
Exactly.
We're Africa.
Middle East, big player in this whole thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then Mocha's right there.
Yeah.
So Mocha was not first a concoction of coffee and chocolate. It was a country first.
Exactly.
Ah.
I don't know the history of chocolate, but yeah. In coffee, Mocha is the port. Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Very interesting.
And
so back to Peter.
He was wandering around and found he liked this coffee, wanted some of it, so he decided a plan to scale the walls one night, get the coffee seedling, and take it back to his waiting ship, and off he goes.
Wow.
It was a pretty daring thing he was doing. He knew he could get pretty well hurt if he got caught doing this. He got back, of course, and found, rats, it doesn't grow. Coffee needs to grow, as you said, right near the beginning, between the tropics.
Tropics of Capricorn and Cancer.
Oh, very good, very good. And so he got it back there, this dead, sort of thing, and it didn't grow.
So no coffee grows in the United States?
Well, yes, it does. It grows in Hawaii, and they're trying to grow it in California. But it's difficult. It's hard to do. Compared to the way it naturally grows at high altitude in between those tropics.
Because I remember when we lived in New Zealand that you had a couple of coffee plants. Actually, I think you have some now, or you did.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty decent sized coffee plant for a house, I should say. Mm-hmm. And even where you work, we've had coffee plants grow, and I've tasted the fruit from them.
Yes, yeah.
But it is mostly, or more specifically, coffee is going to grow between the two tropics.
Yeah, so you've got other things going there other than just tropics. You've got soil, you've got variety of the coffee, you've got big players, altitude of the coffee, if the rain sort of through the season, of flooding areas. There's a lot of things that come into it to make it, you're right, it grows everywhere, but to actually grow good quality tasting coffee like we're drinking right now, it's a lot harder to do.
And so for when I think of coffee, there's lots of different places and things and stuff, but being in the States at the moment, coffee is a huge thing at the moment.
Yes.
So when does coffee start, what year are we talking about, that we have the revolutionary, or the Tea Party?
Oh,
as
Boston
far as
Tea Party, yes.
Boston Tea Party. Mm-hmm. Is there a Boston Coffee Party? When does coffee come into the States?
Yeah, well, it comes in pretty early to the States. I mean, even where did the first towns start on the East Coast there in America?
Oh no.
Yeah,
I'm not
history.
Good at this history stuff.
I know, yeah. But coffee was brought in at that stage from other places, from Europe, from Africa, obviously.
Gotcha.
It was being brought in at that time. So,
wow.
And you've got the Revolutionary Wars going on in America. Taverns where they're meeting. Guess what? Coffee is involved.
So does coffee ever take over beer, as far as like consumption?
Actually, it's a good question. Yes, I mean, in places like New York. Was it New York? Yeah, they
1968.
Yeah, mate. There's some notes around here.
No, not 1968.
1668. Yeah, it does. For a breakfast beverage was beer, but in that year that you just mentioned, coffee suddenly takes over in consumption. So suddenly coffee is becoming a big player in the whole diet of the country.
Wow. Wow. So 1668 is a big year for the States as far as coffee.
Well, yes, in New York anyway.
Well, and I think there was a book that I read, and it's called The History of the World in Six Glasses, I think.
Okay.
It talks about the history of the world in six glasses, and one of those glasses being coffee, and it walks through, the history of the world with wine, beer, coffee, Coca-Cola, and a couple other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that it talked about was back in Europe, they would have coffee houses, and each coffee house would specialize in its own topic. So one might be philosophy, one might be science, one might be architecture, art, different things, and so people would go to these different coffee shops. So even then, coffee was kind of a way for people to get together and discuss, and kind of was the fuel for a lot of discovery and discussion.
Yeah.
If you haven't read that book, it's a good read. It's interesting. But it's just crazy how much coffee fueled, just even early thought.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, comes across the ocean to the United States when people from England go over there. And it just really, I mean, obviously it takes a while, but it spreads quite. There's almost no country in the world where there's no coffee.
Probably true, actually. Yeah. It's interesting how culture has taken it and adapted it to their own place. You've got the Turkish coffee, you've got espresso, you've got. There's just so many, the mocha pot, there's many ways you can make a coffee, and different cultures have different ways. I remember being in Ethiopia, and just at a motel, at a hotel, whatever one you went to, there'd always be a lady at the front there serving coffee in little tiny ceramic china.
Wow.
And doing a typical Ethiopian coffee ceremony, and that was just normal. You stop at along the side of the road for a break from the highway, and when I say highway, that's up for interpretation, but you'd sit there and there'd be someone there doing an Ethiopian, I'd call it an Ethiopian coffee ceremony. For them, it was how they served coffee.
Wow. Okay, wow. So yeah, that's kind of, it's crazy, like you said, the cultural differences.
Yes.
We go to a coffee shop or make it ourselves, but to have it such a ceremonious part of life is just different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, sorry, 1968, coffee starts beating
right.
out beer.
Yeah.
Coffee starts winning the war.
Yes.
What's the next step for coffee's segue into our lives?
Oh, you can go to many different places, and you can go to Paris, or say you can go to Amsterdam. Had a big play in the whole thing too. They eventually did get some coffee. Some guy, I can't remember his name now, who was really desperate to get coffee back home.
Was he Turkish?
Oh, there's been a few of them. There's been some heroes who have gone through all sorts of things. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I was having a look at my notes here to see if I can see the guy. But like Paris.
Well, and Solomon Aga. Was he the guy that brought coffee into Paris?
Oh, probably was. Yes. Sorry, I don't recognize his name, but you're right. He's got a longer name than that, but you're right.
Got a professional name.
He does. He's an ambassador, Batesley, and he comes to Paris to King Louis the 15th or something, and he brings. He calls it a magical beverage, and he brings some beans along with him. Guess what? They have to use those beans and start growing coffee beans themselves.
Wow.
Paris loved him. He'd have a special Turkish coffee. To have Turkish coffee with him was a real honour, and people would come from far and wide to spend time with him.
Wow.
Then some of the philosophers that come from that. You got a shop opening up in Paris. The Cafe di Procopi. I'm not sure how you say that, but you've got philosophers like Rosé,
Diderot.
Yeah, that's right, and Voltaire. They were all part of that. That's where they were learning and discussing all their theories at that time.
And that's amazing how almost crucial coffee's role is in some of his, I wonder how many things were happening over a cup of coffee that wouldn't have happened.
Very true. Probably like today.
Right, like we're having this over a cup of coffee.
That's right. By the way, I remember reading somewhere Voltaire, he had 50 cups per day of coffee.
That's a lot of coffee.
I don't know. That's too much coffee.
That's too much coffee.
Yeah.
So, I know we said we'd keep this at 30 minutes, and we're already there.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, so many great stories. The Brazilian one is a good one.
Well, I think, I know we waffled quite a bit today. We're kind of rustling through our notes.
Yeah,
and there's just
so much stuff.
about 5, textbooks worth of stuff. But tell us a good story that you think. What's one of your favorite kind of coffee origin stories?
Oh, one of my favorite coffee stories, the Brazil one. There's 2 of them, but I'm going to give you the second one. And that's the Brazil one.
Is it a juicy one?
Oh, it is actually. It is. You could make a good story, probably a good mini-series about this, I would think.
Yeah.
But there was this dispute going between French Guiana and Dutch Guiana, sort of top of South America there, and the Brazilian government.
Yeah.
Quite bright they were. They decided they were going to come in with a colonel to be the in-between guy, going to bring these 2 factions together.
Like a negotiator.
A negotiator. That's what he was. He had a great name too. He was a bit of a handsome dude, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. Even his name, Colonel Francisco de Melo Pajita. Oh, mate.
It just rolls off the tongue.
It just does.
He sounds smooth.
He was smooth. What happened though? The governor the French governor just said, no, you're not going to have any of our seeds of coffee, which had come to them in a certain way as well. And but he wasn't put off by that. He thought, the governor's wife loves to dance. I'm going to dance the night away with her. And there's stories about how all that sort of developed as such. But she basically falls in love with this guy. And I don't know if it's the next day, the next week, as he's leaving, she gives him a bouquet of flowers. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a nice story?
It didn't end how I was expecting it to end.
Well, let me tell you, Reed. Inside those flowers were fertile coffee seeds. She'd put them inside the flowers.
Wow.
So off he goes back to Brazil with his flowers and his seed, and now we have Brazil with one of the biggest producers of coffee there is.
I mean, I feel like we should just tell people to Google origins of coffee. And
you'll come up with so much stuff.
Because there's juicy stories of love and loss and philosophy. And
the first story I didn't say, but Gabriel, I'm not going to give you the story. This guy was just really passionate about getting coffee to his homeland. He would fight. He would go against pirates. There would ration food on the ship. He would give up his water to give it to his coffee plant so he could get it back home again.
Wow.
I mean, there's stories like that.
And I mean, just going into all the different things, just the roasting, the grinding, the different ways of making coffee, and yet the very origin of just how we even got it.
I know. Isn't it funny? We don't really know, but we know a few little things, perhaps like a lot of things in history, but here we are today enjoying it because of all slavery, because of wars, because of love stories, different reasons, but here we are able to enjoy our coffee, and I'm really thankful for those people before me who put their lives on the line, basically.
I'm glad I don't have to fight off pirates in the morning to get my coffee.
That's right.
Wow. Well, if you have other stories that you've heard that
there's a lot of them out there
that you think might be interesting, go ahead and feel free to shoot them our way on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and again, just go to beanstuff.com to get links to all of that. I do realize the Twitter link wasn't working until today, so that is fixed. So now I'm not lying when I say that Twitter works from the website there. But shoot us one of your stories, what you think the origin of coffee is, and yeah, I mean, always feel free to shoot us questions, or we have a big list of things to do as far as what podcasts we want to do and what topics. I mean, but if you have topics that you want to hear about, feel free to send them to us. Feel free to also email us it's just read@beanstuff.com. And we would love to hear from you. Feel free to also review, subscribe, And you can do that wherever you get your podcasts. But we're excited for the next. I don't think we've decided what to do next.
There's a lot of topics, so yeah,
a lot.
We could carry on about history, but there's enough. They can look at themselves.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can do a part 2 sometime.
Oh, sometime.
But so we're gonna. This is our Friday episode this week, and we're gonna have another episode next week. And so every Friday we'll be releasing an episode. My goal is to release it early enough so you people who drive to work early can enjoy it on your morning commute with a cup of coffee, maybe. But Fridays, I'll try and do it as early as we can. And again, thank you so much for listening, and we hope to hear from you. And tune in next time.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.